What's up, everybody? Alex here with some summer pickups. It has been a little while since my last pickup video, so today I'm going to show you everything I grabbed during the summer of Switch. And I call it that because, as you are about to see, I got a ton of games for Nintendo Switch. Grabbed a lot of great deals and filled in a few gaps in my collection. So let's dive in. First off, like a lot of other Nintendo fans this summer, I grabbed the Nintendo World Championship NES Edition set. So, of course, got the American one that comes with the replica cartridge, the game itself, a pin set, and some art cards. But, because I'm insane, I also got the Japanese version that comes with some similar items, but also includes a pair of actual Famicom controllers that work with Nintendo Switch. No, those, like the NES controllers for Switch, were available through the Japanese equivalent of My Nintendo, but I never got around to ordering some, so figured why not get this one and knock out two birds with one stone. And also, I ended up getting it from Amazon Japan, so I got a small bonus item. And when I say small, I'm not kidding. This thing is tiny. The little acrylic stand, I expected it to be a little bigger, but hey, it was essentially free, so can't complain. And I also went ahead and grabbed the Nintendo World Championships hat that was offered through My Nintendo here in the US, but unfortunately it is much too small for my enormous melon head, so it's just going to be a display piece. Womp womp. Then moving on, I got a ton of Switch games, as I mentioned, and let's start here. I grabbed the Blaster Master Zero Trilogy with the slipcase, so it's all three games from Limited Run with the exclusive slipcase. And I ended up winning an auction on eBay for significantly less than the retail price for all three games and the slipcase. So, very happy to add that. Then, next up, I got Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope Gold Edition. Now, it is a pre-owned copy, so unfortunately the code was already used. But the Gold Edition of the first Mario & Rabbids game, which I do have, was a Costco exclusive here in the US and is insanely expensive nowadays. So this one, I don't know that it was exclusive anywhere or anywhere near as rare, but I figured why not get both Gold Edition cases just so they match. So I got that on, actually I got it on Mercari for I think a little under $30, so not too bad. Then I got a new game called Gravity Circuit that is like a 2D action game. I believe, if this is the one I'm thinking of, it reminded me a lot of Mega Man X. And I got this from Target through a buy two, get one deal, so I got it significantly less than retail. Next, I got The Legend of Nayuta. I believe that's how they pronounce it. The Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails. So this is part of the long-running Trails series, which spans, I think, close to a dozen or more games at this point that are like crazy 100-hour-long RPGs. But this one, from what I've read, is kind of a spin-off that is an action RPG like the Ys series. It's from the same developer, Falcom. And I love the Ys games, and this one actually went on sale at, I believe it was Best Buy. I want to say they had it for like $35, down from like $50 or $60, and I was able to grab a copy before it sold out. Moving on, I got Super Mario RPG, the remake of the classic Super Nintendo game. This, I believe, was on sale at Walmart for like just under $40, down from $60. And also from Walmart, I grabbed the Ultimate Edition of Borderlands 3, which was, I think, under $20. Because I have the, somewhere up here, I have the Borderlands collection. I think it's the Handsome Collection, I believe it's called. Also for Switch. Then I grabbed a couple games from Woot.com that is essentially like a clearance outlet for Amazon, if you're not familiar with them. So I got a pair of Switch games. I got Air Twister, which from the cover just kind of looks like shovelware, but it's actually a new kind of arcade 3D shooter game from the creators of Space Harrier, the classic Sega arcade game. And it honestly had really good reviews, and I think it was only like $12 or $15, so not bad. And then also grabbed Double Dragon Gaiden, Rise of the Dragons. I think this one was also like $15. And I have pretty much all the other Double Dragon games on Switch, so I had to grab this one. And let's see, next up, so I got Pokemon Violet with the expansion. So this, about a week ago, Best Buy put it on clearance. So this one normally retails, I think, for like $90 or $95, and they had it down to $60. So I grabbed it probably minutes before it sold out. And now I have all the Pokemon games on Switch. So happy to grab that. And during that same sale, they had actually marked down another code recollection to, I believe, $39, but it sold out before I had a chance to buy it. So I was kind of pissed because that is essentially a new release. I think it came out in like February of this year, and I feel like it's going to be a kind of harder to find game in the future because it's a, you know, not major Nintendo franchise, but it is a first-party game. However, I went to Target, and sure enough, on the clearance rack, they had a copy in like a plastic security case, and on the back it had this sticker that says online only, was $69.99, but now $41.99. So only like $2 more than Best Buy's clearance price, and I don't know if they, you know, maybe mistagged it or what happened, but sure enough, I got it for the $41.99. So amazing deal on that one. And then two other recent kind of clearance deals. Walmart had Detective Pikachu Returns down to $30, and I was able to grab the last copy at my local store. And then Metal Gear Solid The Master Collection Volume 1 was down to $19.99 on Amazon, and my local Target randomly had one copy, so I was able to price match. So I got that for just $20. And one final Switch game that, again, I was able to grab kind of at the buzzer, so to speak, is Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon, which is a kind of a visual novel, if you're familiar with those type of games. No, this one has been selling out at like every store, and people on Twitter were saying, hey, you know, Best Buy still has copies for Switch, and I was able to order it, and minutes later it was sold out. So I may have gotten like the last copy. Now, this, I don't know if it's a sequel or a prequel, but there was another game that came out maybe about a year or two ago called Witch on the Holy Night. I'll throw up a photo for you here. And that one, I'm an idiot. I waited too long. I didn't order a copy, and now it's like hundreds of dollars. So I'm hoping it'll get a reprint, or maybe I'll get lucky at a GameStop or something. But I didn't want to miss this one too, so ordered it, like I said, at the buzzer before it sold out. And so that's about it for the retail pickups, but I did get a few limited run orders in from, I think, orders from last year, so they're finally showing up. And first up, I got another Switch game. This one is called, it's a little hard to read here, Komajo Remilia Scarlet Symphony. So it's a Toho Project fan-made game, and from what I recall, I think it's like a Metroidvania style game. It looked a lot like Symphony of the Night style, like Castlevania. And the frustrating thing is, like, when Limited Run puts these games up for order, I'm like, that looks awesome, I'm going to buy it. And then, you know, a year later, when it finally shows up, I'm like, what the hell is this? You kind of forget. But whatever. Hey, everybody, cutting in really quick because I realized I forgot to include a couple games while I was editing this video. Got a few more Switch games from Limited Run as part of the Summer of Switch. Got Earth Knight, Moon, as well as Ocean's Heart. And one additional game that is pretty insane is the Game Boy Advance port of Night Trap. It's not actually a playable game, it's just a compilation of all of the game's FMV video onto a Game Boy Advance video cartridge. But still, pretty cool addition to the Night Trap collection. Alright, let's jump back to the main video. Then, speaking of which, I got Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, the definitive edition. I opted for the collector's edition for, I believe this was for PS4. But, annoyingly, the upper corner is all dented. So thanks, limited run. That's kind of going to be a trend here. You're going to see in a moment with the other limited run stuff I got. But whatever. But I also got their book version of the game. And what's kind of fun is this is made in the style of the old Worlds of Power Choose Your Own Adventure books. And if you are new to the channel, or you haven't checked out my other videos, I actually made a video all about Choose Your Own Adventure video game themed books, so I will drop a link for you in the description below. Be sure to check that out. And then, got a couple soundtracks. I got the soundtrack to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, both on CD and vinyl. And, as I mentioned, dented corner. Thanks, limited run. And also got the soundtrack for the third game for NES, the Manhattan Project. Again, on CD and vinyl. Set those over here. And then one final limited run order that I was very excited to finally receive is the Castlevania Advance Collection. So I actually got it for all three systems. I got the Xbox version because they rarely release anything for Xbox. I got the Classic Edition for Nintendo Switch, which comes in the NES-style box. I've been collecting pretty much all of these as they release. Not as bad, but this one's a little dented on the corner, so a little annoyed. But then I got the, I believe it's called the Ultimate Edition for PS4, and this thing is pretty awesome. It's got this really cool shadow box, and let me see, there's a little power switch on the side here, and then a button, and you can see it lights up, and then it might be hard to hear, the speaker's not amazing, but it does play music from the game. So let me hit that and see if you could hear it. Okay. Like I said, it's really quiet in person, so I don't know if it was going to come across on the video, but still, very, very cool set. I got the same Ultimate Edition for the original Castlevania Anniversary Collection, as well as the, what do they call it? It was the PS4 exclusive that had Symphony of the Night and Rondo of the Blood. And I opted for the PS4 versions because that middle one was only on PS4, and with the Nintendo Switch ones, I believe Nintendo requires publishers to put the little Nintendo Switch logo in the upper corner, and I kind of prefer the clean look of the PS4 one. Either way, very happy to finally get that. Alright, next up, let's look at some thrifting finds. Now, I have majorly cut back on my thrifting in recent months. I used to go out several days a week and go to as many as 6 stores a day. But lately, I've been going maybe once a week to just my local store. And I still managed to find some cool stuff. So, first up, this one's kind of funny. So, I bought a used Nintendo Wii, which I actually ended up reselling recently. But inside the disk drive was the Netflix disc. So, it's literally useless now that the Nintendo Wii Online is shut down and you can't even use Netflix, but just kind of a weird, fun collectible for essentially a dead system. Then, moving on, I got a Lunch Lady action figure. This is pretty hilarious. The bubble is separated from the card, but I'm going to open it anyway, so whatever. And it was $4.99, but I couldn't resist. I have a bunch of these, like, real people action figures, and they're just fun to, like, pepper in with, you know, Marvel Legends or whatever similar scale figures. Then, here, let's see. These were a couple different trips, so I'll show you this stack first. So I got this little sea monster guy, who is actually a Scooby-Doo villain action figure. Then I found a copy of SSX3 for Nintendo GameCube, and it is complete. Found a Goosebumps Slappy's Tales of Horror, and this is actually a graphic novel that I had never seen before. As well as a copy of Stephen King's Dreamcatcher, which is, honestly, I think the only Stephen King book I've ever read. I've seen a ton of his movies, and I love the stories, but I read this one when I lived in Japan. Someone lent it to me, and it was pretty good. So I think this is actually a first edition copy, too. So this one was $2.99, but all these other items were untagged. Oh, and one other thing from that trip, which why in the world would anyone ever be excited about this? But I found Dr. Dolittle 2 on DVD. And I'm sure you're like, why the hell would you buy that? Who cares? Like, sure, the movie's fine, but why? So, a couple months ago, I did a video about an obscure gaming platform called Nuon. And, again, if you haven't seen it, I'll drop a link in the description below. But Nuon was basically a DVD player that also played games, just to put it simply. And there were a handful of DVDs that had enhanced features that would work on a Nuon player. One of which is Dr. Dolittle 2, and it was the only one I didn't have. So I'm sure it's very, very impossible to see on the video there, but there's an itty-bitty logo on the bottom here that says Nuon, so that's how you know it has the additional features. So, happy to finally find that. But anyway, as I was saying, the book was $2.99, but all the other things were untagged, and I don't know if the cashier was new or just liked me or something, but she only charged me 99 cents for each item, and like, movies and games are supposed to be at least $3. But hey, I'm not complaining. Okay, moving on next trip, I picked up another DVD. This one is called Meteor Man, and this one is brand new and sealed. So this is a somewhat obscure superhero movie from, I think it was, 93, so the early 90s. And what's kind of funny is after the movie came out, they actually brought him into the Marvel Universe in like a follow-up comic book series. So he's technically like a Marvel character. And this DVD, surprisingly, I guess it's out of print, but especially new copies sell for quite a bit. So for $3, I figured, why not? Then also grabbed a kind of obscure computer game called Necrovision. So it was tagged $2.99, but pink tags were half off, so it was $1.50. And it looks to be a first-person shooter where you're like battling demons and stuff. And it's developed by Asper, who's done a bunch of other games that I've enjoyed. So for $1.50, I figured I'd check it out. And then finally, I found a copy of Dune, the novel that, of course, inspired all the recent films. But this, it's not like an original copy. I think it's a reprint from like 1999. Okay, so still pretty good shape, and, you know, I've wanted to read it, so why not grab it? And a handful more thrifting things. I think it might have been that same trip, actually. I got a Minecraft zombie, so this is probably like a, 10-inch figure. So it was $2.99. I've honestly never played Minecraft, but I like the characters in Smash Brothers, and I usually try to grab figures of all the characters that appeared in Smash Brothers. And I also have Steve and Alex in this same scale, so decided to grab the zombie. Then found this is a Sony integrated remote commander. So this was $3.99, but what's kind of neat about this, I have a few other models. This is at the time, very sophisticated remote that actually had a touch screen that you can program in your different components. So you can have like DVD player, VCR, game console, however you want to do it. And I don't know why, I just love old Sony technology. I just love the aesthetic of it. So if it's cheap, I'll usually pick it up. Then I came across what I thought were just some generic Nintendo controllers, because they obviously don't have the Nintendo branding. But I'm like, these look kind of nice. And I realized they're USB controllers. So I got the pair of NES controllers for $4.99, as well as a USB N64 controller, also for $4.99. And I'm pretty sure a couple of months ago I got a USB GameCube controller, and then I have a USB Super Nintendo controller, so now I can play any classic Nintendo game through an emulator with the original style controllers. It's kind of fun. Then, just a couple more things. Actually, we did stop at a Savers a couple months ago. I ended up grabbing a pair of plush that I thought were really cool. So this one is Q*bert, the classic arcade game character, as well as this really cool Splatoon Inkling plush. It's got those. And then on my most recent trip, I found this giant bag full of Super Mario birthday supplies, and the entire bag was just $1.99. So, my birthday's next April. Maybe I'll have a Mario-themed birthday party. That seems appropriate for a 42-year-old, right? Anyway. Also, found a little Shadow the Hedgehog plush, because, you know, it is the year of Shadow, and I like the character. And on that last trip, so whenever I go to my Goodwill, I usually do about 2 laps around the store. You know, one time run through, see what I could find, and then the second time to make sure I didn't miss anything. But something told me, go around one more time. And I'm so glad I did, because when I came back around, I was coming up on the bin full of plush, and I noticed a little round blue ball all the way at the bottom. And I'm like, it can't be. So I walk up, I dig down, and I find freaking Merill, my favorite Pokemon. And this is the original Hasbro plush from 2000, which I have been so tempted to buy on eBay for like $30, 99 cents. So happy I took a 3rd lap. Oh, man. Okay, so that's it for the thrifting stuff. But I got some cool stuff on eBay that I will show you really quick. So, continuing on with the plush, I finally got this awesome Goofy movie, Goofy plush. And I was aware these existed. I've kind of had them on my, saved searches for a while, but it seems like they always sell for about like $40 to $50. I'm like, that's a lot for a plush. But for whatever reason, somebody put one up with free shipping for $11.99. And this is a big plush. So I, buy it now so fast. And it is here, and it is amazing. So there's also a Max in the same scale, so I do need to track down that one still. But again, I don't really want to drop like $40 to $50 on it, so I'm keeping an eye out for a deal. But absolutely love a Goofy movie, which you probably know if you've seen my previous videos. And this is a great addition to my Goofy movie collection. Then, let's do these next. So back in, it looks like 1999 and 2000, on the back of macaroni and cheese boxes, they had some Pokemon collector coins that you could just cut out of the back of the box. And I probably had a couple when I was a kid, and I vaguely remembered them. But I came across an eBay auction for the full set of 96 that had been cut out from the back of mac and cheese boxes. And it was at 99 cents with no bids. And I was like, okay. So I kept an eye on it, waited till the last couple seconds, bid $1.50, and I won for 99 cents. Which is crazy, because earlier that same day, somebody bought a set of just the first 48 for like $40. Crazy. So anyway, obviously, it's a ridiculous thing to, like, pay money for. But I didn't pay much, and I already cut a flack for my fiance, so whatever. But there's a Merill coin, so I had to do it. Okay, next up, got a couple video game things. Here we go. I grabbed this, which you may recognize the InGen logo as being from Jurassic Park. This is actually the collector's edition of Jurassic Park the game for PC. So this was exclusively available through Telltale's website when the game first launched. And, I think I may have been out of the country at the time or just not paying attention. I don't really know. But I have the physical copy for Xbox 360, but it wasn't released physically for any other platform other than this, in the US anyway. So, finally, found an auction, won it. So it's got this really cool InGen box, and then you open it up, and it has a really nice fabric Jurassic Park patch. It has a Jurassic Park InGen staff badge that I thought was pretty cool. It's actually double-sided. It's got even, like, the little swipe bar. It's got a new hire welcome letter. A Jurassic Park pamphlet is really cool. It's all in, like, you're actually at the park, and it's got a map with all the different attractions. It's got an ad for Kodak film on the back. This is, like, really cool. There's also an InGen field guide that's got this really nice embossed cover. And it's, got, like, stills from the movie, some production art. Very cool. And then, last but not least, the game itself. So this is an actual, like, DRM-free DVD copy. Comes with a manual and everything. And like I said, this was the only way to get this game physically for PC. And the game has been delisted. It's not even available digitally on Xbox or anything anymore. So if you want to play this game, you got to go physical. I think the 360 one might still be affordable, but I wouldn't hold off too long because 360 stuff's getting really collectible. Of course, you know, there's other ways to get digital games on PC, but I've been collecting all the big box Jurassic Park stuff and had to add this to the collection. A few other games. I got a Sega Genesis game that I somewhat recently learned existed. So this is called Dragon's Fury, again for Sega Genesis, and this is a pinball game that I believe is a port of the classic pinball game Devil's Crush that was originally on TurboGrafx 16. And I love that series. I think I'm missing Alien Crush, but I have Devil's Crush. I have the Japan-only sequel Jockey Crush, which was on Super Famicom. And then I have the sequel to this game, which is called Dragon's Revenge, which, you know, I've had that since I was a kid, and I didn't realize it was a sequel until recently. I was like, oh crap, I gotta get the original. So finally got this. I won it on eBay for a very good price. Happy to add that. And one other game is a very obscure first-party Nintendo game for a Famicom Disk System called Night Move. Now this is, as you can tell by the artwork and the name, it's chess-themed, but it's like an action puzzle game that is really cool. And this is another one I learned about in recent years. I unfortunately didn't know about it when I lived in Japan and probably could have got it for like $1, but still, finally won it for a great price on eBay, and it is complete with the outer case as well as a manual. So happy to add that. Then two other gaming things. So San Diego Comic-Con happened recently, and there were a bunch of really cool exclusive items that you could only get at the show itself. But of course, there's all kinds of people that go to the show and buy, you know, as many as they can of each item and resell them on eBay or what have you. So two things I had to get were this Hallmark Sega Genesis gold console ornament. I've been collecting these console ornaments for the last couple of years. They've done an NES, a Super Nintendo, Genesis, and I believe this year they are releasing an Xbox, like the original Xbox. But I heard about this one. I was like, oh crap, I gotta get that one because it is a limited edition of 3,200, which is quite a bit, but still, you know, they're gonna dry up eventually. So got it for not much over retail plus shipping, so I was happy with that. And then one additional thing that I had to get, because I'm a big fan of the Shantae series, was the Shantae Swimsuit special. Now, this is the Comic-Con exclusive that has gold foil embossing on her swimsuit, as well as the logo. So I believe the standard editions are coming out in September, and I already pre-ordered those, but I'm like, I gotta get every variant because I love the series. So again, got that for a little over retail. Then, just a few more eBay things. So this fall, Capcom is releasing the Marvel Fighting Collection that is going to include every Marvel vs. game. So Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So all these awesome games that I grew up with and loved. And back, I believe it was when the first Marvel vs. Capcom game came out, the company Toy Biz released some really cool action figure sets as part of their Video Game Superstar Series. And so this one is not new, but just to show you an example, I got this really awesome Strider figure, I think about a year ago. So I did have all of the 2-packs, but I sold them ages ago because I'm an idiot. So I had to get Strider because he's one of my mains in the game. And I was able to get him with all his accessories, and it's just an awesome figure. But my other mains are BB Hood, which they did release a figure of as part of their Darkstalkers 3 series, which, again, I had them but sold them, so I need to replace that one. But my other favorite character has always been Shuma Gorath, the very weird tentacle monster from, I believe he's like a Doctor Strange or Fantastic Four villain. But from what I've read, there's some kind of issue with the rights to the character that they can't use him in any new Marvel stuff or release any merchandise because somebody owns the rights or something. I don't know. But I was just like, man, it'd be cool to have a Shumagorath figure to go with my other Marvel vs. characters. And I did a little research, and I found out that they released a figure in HeroClix form. So you can see it's got this kind of rotating base. It's for a game called HeroClix, which I have zero interest in, but this figure is awesome. It isn't really posable or anything, but in terms of scale, it scales pretty well with Strider. I think that's probably about how big he is in-game. And it does have one really neat feature. So there's like this little ball on the back of his body here, where if you move it around here, watch his eye, it'll actually move his eye around. And I just thought this was so cool when I found out about it, and immediately jumped on eBay, and there were a bunch that was like obscenely exclusive, because I think this was also an SDCC exclusive way back in 2013, so over a decade ago. And there were a bunch that were like sold with the original box and stuff, and I found a company that claimed that it was new for about half the price of everyone else, and I'm like, all right, I gotta do it. So I ordered it, and it came loose, and the base is covered in dust. So, whatever. The figure's awesome. I'm happy with it. The price was good. It's not worth raising a stink over. And then one final eBay pickup. My favorite anime series of probably all time is Neon Genesis Evangelion. And about, I think, 2 years ago, they finally released the show on Blu-ray here in the US. And there were 3 versions available. There's a standard version, which you can still buy anywhere. There was a limited edition that included everything in the standard version, but also the original ADV dub that many people, including myself, grew up with and love. And some bonus stuff, I think like postcards or something. And then there was like a giant ultimate collection that came in like a Laserdisc style case with a whole ton of nonsense, but it was like hundreds of dollars. It was even too much for me. But I really had my eye on that middle one for a while. But again, it was expensive, and I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And then they just announced that it's out of print. And I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get it before it gets even more expensive. So, hopped on eBay, as I want to do, and I was able to win one for significantly less than retail. I'd say about 40% off. It is used, but it's in excellent condition. Has, everything it originally came with. The slipcase itself is in great shape. I've seen some people order new copies that are all beat up, so got lucky there. But had to get that before it became impossible to find or even more expensive. Okay, finally, let's wrap it up with some collectibles. So for the last, I think, 6 or so weeks in a row, I have been vending at different collectible shows and flea markets. So I've been insanely busy and trying to sell a lot of stuff and trying my best not to buy stuff at the shows. But I did make one exception at the Chicago Toy Show, because I noticed my neighbor vendor that I kind of befriended had my all-time favorite Ninja Turtle figure, who is Worm. He's a very, very ugly flatworm monster guy, and he even came with 2 of the accessories. They had it tagged at $15. They gave it to me for $10. I mean, I think it's closer to like $25 on eBay for just the figure, so I was thrilled to finally re-add this guy to my collection, because I sadly lost him when we moved out of my childhood home. But I got him back. Then everything else, I believe, is from like Target for the most part. Oh, I lied. There is one more eBay pickup that just arrived yesterday. Something I've wanted for over a decade, because I missed the original release, and it was re-released last fall, and again I missed it because I'm an idiot. But hopped on eBay, and I won one for less than retail. The Bat Gremlin from NECA. So, I love the Gremlins movies. I especially love Gremlins 2. I know it's the lesser of the 2, because it's, more kiddie, but I loved all the different hybrid Gremlins. Like, I got the Spider Gremlin figure, I think earlier this year or last year. And they have like the Brain Gremlin and Greta, the female one. But I always loved the Bat Gremlin. And this figure is just freaking amazing. So, like I said, I was lucky on eBay. I ended up winning one for, I think, about $10 under retail, even including shipping. And it's new. It's in great shape. No damage to the box or anything. So, super stoked to get that. Okay, now Target stuff for real. So one thing I found on clearance is this really cool DK barrel. It says it's a Donkey Kong pen pot. But it also has a little image here saying I guess you could use it as a planter if you want to. But I just thought this was really cool. It's, all, 3D molded, really nice ceramic. And it was down to $9.09. It looks like retail was only $12.99, so not, a huge discount, but every store in my area was otherwise sold out, so I'm like, I'm not going to find it cheaper, I might as well. Got that. And then something completely random. So on, I think it was like a action figure collecting forum, or maybe like a subreddit or something, I saw somebody had mentioned that Target had balloon animal erasers that scaled perfectly with action figures. I'm like, that's really cool. And they were only $1 a package, so I'm like checking every Target all summer, never see them anywhere, and then finally I check a Target about a week or so ago, and I found them. So I ended up getting 4 different packages because each one has slightly different animals or colors. So I'll show you one at a time here. But you can see they're actually, I don't even know what they're made of. It's, I would assume some kind of rubber. But they actually have like that shiny balloon texture look to them. And again, each one was only $1. So I figured, when am I going to see them again? And might as well, try to get as many different ones as I can. So, whopping $4 on those. Then I got a Pokemon Battle Pack I've been hunting for months. Pikachu and Merill! Now, of course, I have, several other Merill figures. I have, like, the original ones from, not Jax, maybe it was Jax. I don't know. Whatever the original ones were from like 2000. But these are the Jazwares figures, and it's like an all-new mold of Merill, and I've been looking at every single store I go to, and I finally found them at my local grocery store, of all places. Like, come on. But yeah, finally got that. Then I got some new Jurassic World stuff. So they released some very cool new Hammond Collection figures. So I got the Giganotosaurus, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this was kind of like the villain dinosaur in the latest Jurassic World movie. I mean, you can see it a little better on the back there. Very cool. Also, got the Therizinosaurus, which again is from the latest movie, but very cool herbivore with these like giant claw hands. And what's kind of crazy, so I came across these at a Target, I want to say it was like a Saturday. I'm like, oh man, I want to get those. And I was like, not today. And then sure enough, the next day, with the start of the next sale week, they were 30% off. So I was like, holy crap. So yeah, I was able to get both for 30% off like the day after they released. And then more recently, a much smaller scale one, but still an awesome figure, I was able to get the Pyro Raptor, again, from the latest film. And this one I ended up getting on Target.com because it's been selling out like instantly, but somebody posted like, hey, it's up, and I ordered one, and sure enough, showed up the next day. Then, speaking of figures, I got one, what I'm pretty sure is a new figure. One of the Jax Sonic figures. This is Vector, part of the Chaotix team. And they had the entire new wave, but I'm pretty sure... So, Vector, I'm pretty sure, is new in this scale. But they also had Ray, the Flying Squirrel. I think he was previously released, so I think I have him already. Of course, a Sonic, which, who cares? Rouge the Bat, and then a pink Caterpillar, which I think I got in the like Walmart packaging, where it's like open box. So I ended up just grabbing Vector. And then, speaking of Jakks, they also, as of this summer, started releasing figures of The Simpsons. Literally my all-time favorite show. Of course, the new seasons aren't as good as it used to be, but I'm still a fan. And these figures are awesome. So I got this. It's the entire family in the 2.5-inch scale, and it also includes the pets, Santa's Little Helper and Snowball 2. And I haven't seen them in store, but they also have individual 2.5-inch figures. So I believe right now they have Homer, Bart, I want to say Ned Flanders, and then Chief Wiggum. So I definitely want to get Flanders and Wiggum, but I don't really need multiple Homers or Barts, I guess. And then they also had a little play set of the Simpsons living room. So it's got, of course, the couch, the TV, also comes with another Homer figure. And then it looks like it's apparently double-sided, so it has like the front of their house on the opposite side, which is kind of fun. And these I got from Target.com because they put them up for pre-order during one of their like coupon weeks. So I got everything like 30% off or something. Just took a long time for them to show up. And then absolutely the coolest thing from their new line is this talking evil Krusty doll. They even got the packaging just like it looked in the Treehouse of Horror episode. And I love this on the back. Problems? Call 1-900-DON'T-SUE, just like in the show. And, of course, he does talk. You got this pull cord here. I will shut up for a second and see. Hopefully you can hear it. Here we go. So he has a Krusty laugh.
I'm Krusty the Clown, and I love you very much.
The nice Krusty.
I'm Krusty the Clown, and I don't like you.
And when it switched to evil. Now, as you can see, I haven't opened it, but from what I've seen online, apparently it does have the good and evil switch on the back of his body, which is just awesome. Again, this thing has been impossible to find in stores, but I was thankfully able to pre-order one, and it showed up in pretty good shape. The box has like a tiny bit of wear, but I'm happy with it. And then finally, to close this out, I got two things that are just mind-blowingly awesome to me. So, as you know, I love the Pokemon Merill, and this summer they finally released Squishmallows of Merill. So I ordered I believe this is the 12-inch version that was a Pokemon Center exclusive. Hopefully you can see them without too much of a glare there. And what's kind of neat is the Pokemon Center ones have this actual little like embroidered Pokeball patch on the back. And I was never like really into Squishmallows. I just felt like the next version of Beanie Babies to me. But I mean, come on, it's Merill. You gotta do it. So what's kind of interesting, though, is apparently they released these in all different sizes, which, you know, is, again, new to me. But I got the Pokemon Center exclusive one, which is the 12-inch, and from what I've read, there's also going to be a 10-inch, and then I think either 14 or 16-inch. And then about a month or a few weeks after this one showed up, my amazing fiance surprised me with this. This thing is freaking awesome. This, I believe, is the 20-inch. And this is, as far as I know, a Target exclusive. But this is just, like, unbelievably amazing as a Merill fan. This is definitely the biggest Merill toy I have now. And it is just so cool. It's got his little tail kind of sewn on the back there. The squishy ears and everything. So, absolutely awesome. Okay, but so there we have it. Tons of awesome pickups. Again, this was from the entire summer, not just like this week or anything. This is like about 3 months worth of stuff. And this will potentially be my last pickup video for a little while because if everything goes according to plan, we are hoping to move later this year. So everything you see behind me, as well as all my other stuff, has got to get packed up, put into storage, and then we're gonna move on to the next phase. I have been in this house for about 14 years and have wanted to move out for about 13 years. So hopefully it all goes according to plan, and we're going to end up in a great new space, and I can bring you a lot more really cool videos and show off like my new game room and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. However, even though it is potentially the end of pickups, I do have a lot of other cool videos that I plan to release over the coming weeks. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe if you want to see those. Otherwise, check out the videos I mentioned earlier in this video in the description below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and share all my pickups with me. I hope you'll be back, and I hope you have a great day.